Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice. But here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Bobby Davis, Paul Bratzlavsky, and Sarah Kimmel.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast, the tech podcast where we discuss everything from AI to VR. I'm Kevin Doyle, and this week I am joined by Sarah Kimmel, Bobby Davis, and Paul Bratzlavsky. Make sure to stick around till the end for our AI-generated weekly themed outro song. This week's a good one. Coming up in this week's episode, AI candidates are entering politics, Microsoft has delayed the rollout of the recall feature, and we will wrap up with our null, not null recommendations section. AI candidates are now running for office, apparently. There's a few of these. This story highlights three different ones, which we'll talk through. So these are basically, yes, the AI chatbots that are known for hallucinating and, having harmful known biases are now running for office. I don't know how this differs from people, really, to be honest, or politicians, but there you go.
Facing humanity there.
They might have a chance to win. They might have a chance to win then. And
that's the thing here. This seems absurd until you actually stop and think, is it really that weird? So here's some different ones. Let's go through these. There's three that are listed in this article, and they're kind of interesting. So first one, and we'll talk about these in their own kind of right, and then I'll kind of introduce you to each one, and then you can give me your thoughts on each one. So let's start with AI Steve. So AI Steve is a UK-based one. He's running for UK Parliament. It was created by a company. So a company called Neural Voice, and the guy that runs the company created this. So Steve Endicott is his name, by the way, runs this company. So PR stunt much. I mean, but it is what it is. But they have said that this is and I quote, a way to revolutionize democracy by involving constituents in policy creation. So the way this works is it's a chatbot. People can go to the chatbot. They give it its opinions. They talk to it. They can ask it questions. It's been pre-fed some things based on whatever its political views are, along with whatever I'm assuming Steve Endicott's political views are. So it's pre-fed with that. And then it can take whatever the public tells it that they want, and it'll kind of get a consensus of that. And that's what it says it's going to do. So here's the thing. In the UK, obviously, the AI can't show up as a person in Parliament. So Steve has to be the Steve Endicott has to be the surrogate. He has to be the person that shows up. So, it's just
weird.
But he promises he'll go by what AI Steve says.
Mm-hmm.
So
the AI Steve that I program?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? What do you think about AI Steve? Anybody trust AI Steve?
No.
I mean, Kevin, who's going to represent the ideals of the AI robots? I mean, somebody needs to represent them in Parliament, and AI Steve is the guy to do it.
I don't think it's that, because this is just Steve Endicott.
No, exactly.
I think Steve Endicott, he's like, when they become self-aware, I want to show that I was always on the side of the AI and increase my chances of survival.
Look what I did for you.
Look what I did. But listen, Steve, that's not going to work. I'm just going to break it to you. They're not going to care anything that you did. To me, what's ludicrous about this is how you have to put AI everywhere. Everywhere, let's think AI everywhere. Let's do everything with AI, because that's the hype right now. And this is just funny. And for me, I really want to see of course, I'm not going to trust AI Steve, but to see what are the long ramifications of this hype and people implementing AI at so many different levels that it just gets so saturated with everything that there's so much trash content versus actual content. What does that mean for us as developing human beings? Do we then become distrustful of everything? It's what's going to happen? I don't know.
Maybe.
So here's my point. If Steve Endicott wants to run for Parliament, go for it.
Go run for
Parliament.
Right.
But if you can't be bothered to show up and answer a question, what are we doing? This is the height of laziness. We want to we want the job. We don't want to come to work. We want the paycheck, but I don't want to do anything.
It could have that vibe to it.
I mean, it's just really bad. And then the fact that he owns the AI company, this is clearly a stunt. But then we'll be duped into thinking that the bot's going to vote for the people instead of him coming out beforehand, like every other podcast says, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. And then when he doesn't do it, you vote him out. But Here, he can always say, well, that's what the people wanted. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted to be taxed at 120%. That's what you wanted. That's what you showed me.
Sure.
And that's what will happen. And then he'll say, vote with Steve until someone lobbies for, his AI company to get some kind of tax break or some kind of investment, and then he doesn't.
Right. I think it has ulterior motives kind of written on it for AI, Steve, for me.
For sure.
It feels a bit like disingenuous.
Yes.
So let's talk about Vic though, virtual integrated citizen. This might alleviate some of those worries. This one, I think, maybe. So this one, this chatbot is running for mayor mayor, bearing in mind, mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Wow.
Okay. It was created
I thought this was just a UK problem.
No. This is close to home. This is a global problem. This was created by a local library employee called Victor Miller, which hence where the name comes from.
Weird.
Vic,
why did these people name it after themselves? I mean, come on.
He said the computer named it.
Oh,
he
sure.
Did.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
sure.
Vic.
My name is
happens
Vic. It has to be the same. Yeah. Okay.
Agreed. So it's built on
Cool.
GPT-4. He claims it has an IQ of 155. He said that you won't vote directly for the AI because legally you can't. You will be voting. Guess for who?
Victor
Miller.
What?
but here's what he's promised.
I am shook.
Here's what he's promised because apparently non-humans aren't allowed to run, which makes sense, right? That's
Makes
like a
sense.
legal issue. But he promises in quotes that the chatbot will do 100% of the voting, and he has promised to be, and this is a great quote, that he will be the meat avatar for Vic. He will do what the people want and do what the chatbot wants, and will have no say in it, and it will just go along with whatever Vic says.
What if
Sound
the
legit?
chatbot is telling the rest of the city to eat a rock a day? I mean, are we?
That would never happen, Sarah. They don't hallucinate or have
course
biases.
not. Of course not. Sorry, I withdraw. I withdraw my question.
Yeah. So Vic, trustworthy?
No, because he doesn't want to do the job. He doesn't want to be mayor. What are we doing? He just wants the paycheck and not do anything. And then also, it's the accountability thing. He won't be accountable to this. He'll say, that's what Vic wanted. I can just see
Right.
it now.
Yeah.
Vic voted you a private jet. Yes. We need a private jet for the mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming. That's
what he wanted.
That's what you wanted me to have. I have it.
Right. And part of this too is not I have a huge problem with today's generation just not taking ownership of anything.
Nothing.
They just don't have any taking ownership, but if there's another word for it, I can't think of it. But it's the same thing. He's like, oh, I don't have to make any decisions or anything like that. I just have to type it in and the decision is made for me. I don't have to do any real work. I don't have to make the hard decisions. If you hate the decision, well, this is what this said and you guys voted for it. So it's not really my responsibility. Being in government, that's the ultimate take responsibility for what is happening job. And you can't just pass that off to oh, well, that's what AI said. Sorry.
Welcome to Boomer Land, Sarah. You're a boomer now.
What's ridiculous?
60 years old.
You're boomer in thought now. Get off my lawn.
Exactly. It's anybody over 20 years old. That's the definition. But the crazy part, it's don't these people know that it hallucinates all the issues that come with it? It's not you could coax it to say whatever the hell you want. You could have it to have an agenda that you want. You could make it whatever you want, and it's still not perfect. And the fact that these folks are just again, it's funny to me that AI hype is getting so big that it's affecting people actually considering, let's make these AI bots to run for politicians. And to me, what would be funny though, why if they do really well? You know what I mean? And and then what if will be funny if the AI starts saying don't listen to the guy that created me. I'm the actual real deal. He doesn't know what he's talking. What do you do in that case? And so to me, it's just hilarious. And I think to everybody's point here, that at some point there's going to be an AI bubble burst and things are going to equalize. But I think the ramifications of people jumping onto these bandwagons, and I think it's cool. I'm sure this is used for some sort of marketing like thing, and it's working because here we are talking about it. But at the same time, it's like crazy how most of the population, to them, because AI seems like magic, they think it's beyond like where it actually is, and they're starting to make life decisions based on this hype that is not actual reality of where things are. And like I follow these investor podcasts that I watch, and a lot of them, like, they're hesitant to bet all their money on AI yet, because it's just not like, it's not 100%. Like, it's I guess it's not.
They should be hesitant.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a bubble
not
coming.
Predictable result. You know what I mean? It's like it's good for certain tasks, but there's like a huge flaw with you trying to get things that are consistent and make sense without any human like interaction.
So the people that are going to cry about when all the jobs are gone and we're on universal basic income and it's $12 or something like that, we can't grow potatoes in the backyard because of whatever. It's the same people that would just do this and not do the job that they're required to do. And there are people trying to automate their job now with AI and automate themselves out of a job. And it's never going to do what a human can do. There's as a mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming, you have important things to figure out.
Right.
And there, I don't know
You've
what all
make
those
the hard
are.
decisions.
There's some hard ones. You got a budget, and like, what pothole gets fixed. I don't know.
Right.
But like, there's other things, just, problems, that you run into. And it's like, and in Parliament, it's even worse. This thing's going to decide if we go to war or not. I mean, like, what are we talking about? Like, should we not launch nuclear weapons? Well, let's ask AI Steve, like, hey.
AI Steve is going to say something like, eating rocks will make you invincible because rocks will make a stone wall inside your stomach that will be impenetrable to like missiles. It's like, are you kidding me right now? So, it's crazy. So one thing that people have to understand with AI, it cannot create things that did not exist. So one example I heard from someone that I forgot who said it, but he basically said, let's imagine that, and he said like some point in 2020, before AI, like drones were created. Like, so the technology to create those drones did not exist, right? It just nobody invented it yet. And he said, let's say your AI is trained to that like point. And if you ask AI to create something that did not exist, like those drone copters, it would not have the required data to be able to make that assumption or that leap because it didn't exist yet. So what people have to understand, like AI, it could only like backlog the knowledge that we have and only give you answers on the knowledge that was given to it. It cannot create anything new, and it cannot like, do that. And so to me, when I think of like AI, all I think of it is just like a fancier predictive search that's able to, help you out with certain tasks, but it has limitations that like you have to be aware of, and that's it.
Yeah, creativity is hard to explain, but when you know it when you see it, because it's always the same thing. Like, wow, that's a good idea. I wish I thought of that. And it's like things like the pencil, and then that's the best thing since sliced bread. Really, no one thought of slicing bread before then. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Until that one guy did it. And you're like, that's a really good idea.
Right.
It's like, and that's creativity. That's like knowing a need and having a need. Like I've always said, AI has needs. It doesn't have needs or wants. And that's like the mother of necessity is, it's the mother of invention is necessity. So like these things happen because someone has a problem or a need and they figure out a way to do it. And then especially great ideas are just like simple, all the time simple, and like, why didn't I think of that? That's amazing. That's so cool. Yep. And AI doesn't do that. And that's why it will always be second fiddle to a human. A human will always be smarter. And we shouldn't advocate the thrones of power to an AI. It just doesn't. I think this is a ruse to these guys to get the way they want, to not have accountability.
I think so. Let's talk about the last one here too, then, just real quick. So Yaska Spada, this one's running for Belarusian parliament. I think this one's slightly different. So this is also built on GPT-4. This one's slightly different in the way that the creator behind this is, and I'm going to try and pronounce this, but I'm really going to butcher it. It's Svetlana Sikhanouskaya or Sikhanouskaya maybe from Belarus. But
well done.
they've said the quote from this one is, frankly, he's more real than any candidate the regime has to offer. And the best part, he cannot be arrested. This is like a protest AI.
Amazing.
This is literally like this is a protest AI. This is part of like Europe where it's like, maybe it's not as settled as the US, although maybe it's more settled.
I'm just saying.
I'm like, I don't know.
But
have you seen our presidential candidates this
I
year?
guess he's onto something. Svetlana is onto something.
He's a
Here's the
good-looking
difference,
guy,
too.
though. At least
This one has a
that goes
persona. This one actually has a persona. It has an AI generated headshot. This is Yas Gaspada. So this one generated a headshot and everything for it. So it's this one's more of a just like a protest thing. But it brings up the question. So I was wondering, like, maybe, we have two options here in the US at the minute. I know we have more, but we're pretty much a two-party system. That's how it works. So we have two candidates. So I thought, what if like I kind of made one? So I'm going to present to you.
Yes.
Jeff Tridon.
I think he's gonna win.
AI chatbot for president. Now, here's the thing, right?
I love
I
it.
gave Midjourney the prompt of an AI president. That was it. This is what it gave me back as an image. I gave it no other prompt.
Looks respectable.
Looks
legit.
like one of our
legit.
presidents.
Got
for
my
sure.
vote.
I know, right?
So I came up with the last name Tridon because it's a mix of two guys, that are kind of running for president. But the Jeff obviously came from the fact that this looks kind of like a Jeff. To
It
me.
does look like a Jeff.
Yep.
That's
But apparently,
100% Jeff.
Midjourney thinks that apparently Jeff Bezos should run for president. That's what I get out of this.
Yeah.
It does
There's
look a little
likeness.
Bezos.
There's
Yeah.
the likeness.
It's very Bezos.
The thing is, that's what frustrates me about AI. Like somebody was like talking about how they made a song with AI. I'm like, you didn't make it. Same with like
Yeah, you
image
didn't
generation.
make
You
it.
didn't make it. You didn't draw it. They basically took a bunch of images that are used to train it and algorithmically recreated that image for you. But if the data in did not exist, like you would not have this
Jeff Tridon.
Yeah.
Running for
It's
president. He's independent, by the way, if you're
Right.
interested.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Does he have policy positions yet? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, all of them.
All of them.
okay.
He is both for and against.
He's
Yeah.
literally fed everything, And whatever you ask him, he's going to understand, like, however you phrase your question, he's going to be
Right.
like, do you also hate this? He'll be like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
So
what's his
great.
view on tariffs? I'm just curious.
He's fed to appease. Well, he's going to ask you first, what is your view on tariffs?
Yeah. Hilarious.
He's just
He's
fed to
a-
appease.
He's a therapist. He's like, how do you feel about that?
Exactly. And he will make you feel good and agree with everything that you
The
say.
interesting thing is about this, who collects the data of everything that people put in? Because people might be
Right.
asking questions like jokes. Some people could be asked serious questions. Is there like, is there like an FBI list attached to this? Like, hey, this person asked some serious questions here. Let's, so, that's the biggest thing with like AI stuff and chatbots. It's like, outside of like all this stuff, it's like, who gets the data? Because it's going somewhere.
I will say, if any of these AI people win, and it kind of brings me back to when we were talking about that AI CEO, like several months ago, when a company decided to make their CEO an AI. But if something like this gains traction, it is indicative, I think, of the absolute flaw in our like current system. Like, if people are like going for the AI over like human people, like, okay, we've got to change something up, because if this is our best choice, like, we're in trouble.
But you could also see why somebody might jump to that conclusion, right? Because they're saying that they're saying, well, the AI is like by the people, which is what your representative's supposed to be. We all know that when you put a representative there, they don't listen to anybody. They just have their own opinions. You're voting them in based on what their opinions already are. You can't sway them. It just is what it is. They're not your voice. They're their own voice. You're just agreeing with them.
Right.
And that's just how it is, right?
That they say
Right,
they
exactly.
take.
So it's like they're going to do whatever they want to do. And if somebody comes in and lobbies them, they'll change their positions, and maybe they just change parties. We've seen that too. Like, you're not voting. You're voting for that person, nothing else, and the way that they feel about the subjects, not the way that you can make them feel about the subjects.
100%.
So this one, they're claiming that, hey, you can sway this person. This is AI. You can sway it. If you get enough people giving me the one idea, I'll take that idea. So you could see where that leap comes from.
Yeah, but here's the problem too, is our founding fathers although we complain about like our electoral college and everything like that, it was smart of them to put that in place, because as a population, we're really dumb. Like when you get a group of people together, like they make terrible choices. And so you can't just leave it up to like the voice of the people for the most part, because they're not gonna, it's not gonna go well. Like,
and you think it wouldn't be that, would you? You think the consensus will come to a good decision, but we don't.
No,
right.
Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated. And like, but the AI is not going to, that's not the answer. So like,
I agree. The AI is not the answer. I think that's the ultimate thing here.
No.
The AI isn't the answer.
I mean, if the guy doesn't want to do the job, don't vote him in. He doesn't want to do the job. So like, you know, it's just stupid. Like, and if you don't want to build a website, just don't turn it over to an AI, because it's not going to do it either.
Here's the thing. I'd like to give this challenge to anybody. As an experiment, just say to yourself, every question I have at work, at life, in with like my, family life, with everything, I'm just going to use AI for 6 months, and I'm only going to do what AI is going to do. If you end up in jail or arrested, like, God bless you.
You're going to be dead, man, because you ate
and
rocks
you're going to be
yesterday.
dead. Yeah,
Or
probably gonna
dead.
be rocks. Your
Jail,
kids will have glue
dead.
pizza.
What?
So like, that's what people don't understand. It's AI at its current form. Like, it's a random word generator that uses statistics to generate things that sound believable and like they make sense. And it uses corpus of data that it has. And sometimes it says stuff that is so believable that like, of course it's smart. But then sometimes it says dumb stuff. You're like, oh yeah, it's a, statistical generated random making machine. And so I think like if you understand that's what it is, you're able to use it productively in a way that makes sense, rather having like things like this.
It just lacks discernment, and discernment's hard. Also a hard thing to explain, but like it's based on your life experience, your current state of mind, or whatever you're at. Should I eat the hamburger? For some people, it's a good idea. For some people, it's a horrible idea. Should I drink socially? For some people, they can do it. For some people, that's going to throw them off the wagon and they're in AA next week. So like there's discernment that you need to have, and AI lacks that, I mean, because, one drink a day isn't bad, right? For an alcoholic, it's the worst thing you can
do. That's terrible. Yes.
So it's, and they got to have discernment, I mean, it's just bad. I mean, like, and it just doesn't have that. It's not creative. It'll never replace a human. Humans will always be superior to that. But if you don't want to be a human and you want to relegate everything over and you end up being enslaved. That's what will happen when you stop thinking of yourself and having discernment and being educated on topics. You end up being a pawn of whatever the system and power is. So I don't know. That's very boomerish right there. So,
no, but that makes total sense.
Dystopian.
Like I was like, me and my trials and everything. Yeah. Can you imagine if the jury was made up of AI? Like they don't have discernment, and they can like look at all the like facts. Like, okay, well, what fact is real? And it's like, I don't know, like because they can't discern like the veracity of who's telling me this fact.
Right.
Like as a human, I'm like, oh, dude, that guy is lying through his teeth.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
I just know.
I know. Right. But like an AI wouldn't be able to like figure that out. They're just going to say this fact and this fact are contradictory. I don't know what to do. Like,
yeah. Let's hope, Kevin, that your guy Jeff doesn't win presidency.
Yeah.
He probably will.
I'm just saying, anybody that's interested, go to jefftrident.com and you can vote for I'm not registered that, but maybe I should
just
now.
write it in.
Just take donations to your PAC.
I am taking donations.
Oh my God, dude, that's a new scam to rob people. Holy Jesus.
I mean,
you create
Paul,
a website.
It's no more of a scam than the other guys.
Right.
100% true, 100% true.
Dude.
But I'm telling you, we should use it to collect funds to take a vacation.
Does that yard sign really cost $45? It doesn't.
Register that domain name and like, let's do a like campaign.
Let's do a campaign.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff Trident for president.
Yeah.
See how much traction we get. It could happen. Like we'll be the next one on one of those lists.
I was going to say they're going to update this story. We're going to be number 4.
We'll be number 4.
We're going to be number 1.
Running for U.S. president is Jeff Trident.
We'll go to the debate. We'll go.
Oh yeah, I'm doing the debate. That's not me. I'm not being the what was it called, the meat puppet.
No, you just put a speaker up there. We put a little
no.
Siri
We bring a
device up
TV
there.
screen. We're gonna buy that scary head from the last one. That's gonna be the representative. To me, it's just wild. Like, don't people watch science fiction like Terminator? Like, Dune had a whole thing.
What
While
happens?
you're not supposed to have a
just
computer.
give up,
Yeah.
and they take
But
over.
I am curious to see, like, the bubble bursting and what that's going to look like. And I hope that not a lot of people made a life decision thinking that AI is at a certain level where they decided not to do something, or let's say get a certain career choice because of AI, or like what have you. And then 2-3 years from now, they're like, oh man, like I shouldn't have kept up. I shouldn't have not made that stupid decision. Cause like in my thing, like learning to code, like people ask me that all the time. And I talk to people who gave up learning, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like, no, like this is so dumb. It's like, but it is scary because the thing that people say, this is where it is right now. So what is it going to look like 5 years, 10 years from now? But I still think the process of living as a human being, like for instance, like with all the music creating things, like people like, Paul, why are you even learning music? Like you could just use one of those tools to create your song. And I'm like, you idiots, you don't get it. I'm not learning music for like having a song. I'm learning music from the enjoying process of creating something myself. That's the part that I like, not the end result. Like end result is cool, but I do music because it's the process of music. So when like someone's like, oh, I created a song, like it's like I'm not excited about it because you didn't do anything. Like, and it's cool, it's fun, but that's not where I get joy. Same for artists. Like artists get joy from, the actual process. What I don't like is that, it is going to change like the level to entry where someone's like, this is good enough for me, so I don't need to like hire a musician or an artist to create a thing. But at the end of the day, though, that came from someone who controls that. This is like the thing that I hate about like any service, like, and that's why I try to use like all my own services, because I don't want to give money to those platforms. Like Midjourney, I stopped my membership because they're like, if you want to use our stuff commercially, you got to pay us money. I'm like, for what? Are you paying money to those creators whose data you use? Like, are you doing that? Same thing with music. Like I tried that music service and they're like, hey, if you want to use your music, like you need to pay our $20 monthly. I'm like, for what? Like, and where does it go to? Like, it's like
you're paying for the processing, aren't you? You're paying for the, you're paying
but
for
they have
the
free,
AI
they have the free tier.
They do, but then you're subsidizing that free tier by having that pay tier.
That part makes sense. They should say that straight up, because like they should be clear about it, because like that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like they're still benefiting as a company. They're making money.
They're making money.
Somebody else's labor, and like I'm not, making money off this thing. But I mentioned like this tool that I created that takes any video, converts it to a blog post, and I'm doing it more for like notes for myself. But as those blog posts get published, I'm sure I'm getting some sort of SEO benefit of that
100%.
content. I didn't create it. I like basically transformed the content from video to what is. And originally I created for my own videos, but now I'm like, hey, like I don't want to spend like all this time to watch the video. And so like, I think what I do like on my content, I always post the original video. Like I never say like, oh, this is my content, because no, it's just notes on the content that I watch. But the fact is like, I would never feel right about taking that and making it a paid thing where people paying for that content, because I'm not the original creator. I like rephrased it or like showed it. But, and I think like people that create AI services, they have to be upfront with that. And I think the people that were part in like the data, or people that created, songs that the models were trained on, they need compensation.
I think the one thing that I can be assured of, like as good as Kevin's in outro songs are, they're really, really good.
Outro song?
Yeah, it's really good. They're funny. They make me laugh. I don't think it'll ever come to the close of Hans Zimmer, like, or someone like that. No. And that's what's going to separate, because they make things, and then especially in music or any kind of art, like film or whatever. I mean, if you watch a Scorsese film or a Nolan film, they're on a whole different level, and no AI Sora is ever going to make anything that's like Inception or like Interstellar, and I always comment this about Interstellar, and Hans Zimmer did this track for that. I listen to a lot of music, but when they were on the planet and the wave came through in Interstellar, with the music on that, made me the first time in theater genuinely nervous. Like the butterflies were in my stomach because of the film, the acting, and the music on top of that. And I just don't think that's ever happened to me from an AI generated song. I've chuckled and laughed, and they're really funny when we make at the end of this. You should listen to it. But like, I don't know if we're ever going to make an album and sell it and do a Taylor Swift tour with it.
The crazy thing about it is, though, like even on Hans Zimmer, like example, it could create a song like Hans Zimmer because I'm sure some of his songs were used in the data process. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate, but it'll never create something like original. And that's like one thing like I've noticed with art. Like I ask for stuff that nobody even considered, and so AI just generates this blurry things because it can't make sense of it because it doesn't have the data sets that match the thing that I want. And like my famous example, I create a lion wizard who deals in pigeons, like a pigeon dealer. Like AI has no idea what it is. It's so like makes no sense. And same thing with music. Like if you ask it to generate something like you'll never generate songs that I write, because like when I learn music, I don't learn different genres and try to make genre like I have some inspirations, but I try to try things out that I just want to do because it feels a certain way. And it's like Paul Braslavsky genre. And the only person may like it is Paul Braslavsky, but I'm fine with that. And AI is not going to create that if you say like, create a style in Paul Braslavsky, because it doesn't have any of those data sets. Like obviously if I take AI and trade it out of my music, I could do that. But did AI actually create that? Or no, it basically took the data sets that it had from my songs and it rearranged them to sound like another song, but it'd still be very similar.
Yeah, I think the ultimate bubble is going to come to the realization when it doesn't quite reach the 100% that it's been promised to do. Mm-hmm. And what I've always said, the 90% that looks like magic, that next 10% is probably bigger than the 90. And it's just really hard to get there, especially in the movie generation, special effects, music, and art. I mean, we can make YouTube thumbnails all day long, but we're not going to fill an art gallery full of YouTube thumbnails. I mean, like it's really hard. And even the ones that Kevin creates, there's actually some creativity in. It's like there's a base image and there's other stuff and there's work on top of it. So there's a lot to it to make it great.
It doesn't just come out.
And people are just trying to like this guy is trying to run for mayor. I'm not going to do anything. He's telling you, I'm a meatbag avatar. I'm not going to do a thing. I'm not going to lift a finger. Like, what are we voting you in for, man? Like, I have ChatGPT too. I mean, like,
I saw a great quote recently. I can't remember who it was, but it was, and I totally agree with this, that the superpower from the human side of things with AI is taste.
Yeah.
Taste is the power when it comes to anything like artistic with it. Like, okay, so when I create the song at the end with this episode, the song that I created, there's probably 5 versions of it. You're only going to hear one of them, and it's the one that was the best version. You're not going to hear the 4 terrible versions that it spat out because they were bad. I'm just giving you the best one. Likewise with Midjourney, there's a reason Midjourney generates 4 images, because the human part of it is selecting which image is the best version that it created. So it definitely needs that, because I will tell you, when I created the images for Jeff. It created some things that weren't good. They were terrible. They were nothing like Jeff. There was only one that it came up with that was Jeff. Mm-hmm. The other 3 that it came up with in its thing there were actually kind of bad. So here you go. So let me show you this. So these were the 4 images that it created.
Oh yeah.
3 kind of robots, and I said an AI presidential candidate. The 4th one was Jeff here, who looked like the most, clean-cut version.
Scroll down a little bit. Were those AI-generated images of like the lookalike of what's his face?
Yes.
Jesus, it's so creative.
Well, here's
what was the prompt for it?
I asked for the prompt for this one was a single person that looks like a mashup of presidents.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So, but here's what I did try before that. It's actually deleted it.
It must have
deleted it. Okay, so it wouldn't actually do the prompt. I wanted it to do an actual mashup of Trump and Biden,
and you put
make a person that looked like both. And because it recognized those 2 things, it wouldn't generate it. But it did generate these. Look.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. Yeah, if you blatantly ask for something, they want to cover their butts and say we've never used those images in our data set.
Yes.
So, but look at that picture right there. They do exist there, and
they do exist. You can make them. Yeah. You just have to be kind of like, and if you generate enough of these, I'm sure it will. If I ran this prompt 50 times, it would come up with a version that looked like something I want it to look like. Right. But again, taste is the thing here, right? So I chose this one because it represented my version of Jeff Trident better, right? Yeah. So these didn't. So taste is the thing here. And likewise with Suno for the AI app, like for the music app, like I said, I probably have 5 versions of the end song you're going to hear, but you're only going to hear one.
Yeah.
Like Bobby said, discernment. Just like Bobby said.
Man, and I made music once, and I can remember going through it, and I generated some lyrics in ChatGPT, and then put that into Sono, and I was making it for a special case thing that we were doing. No reason to go into it, but I can tell you that even then, when I made the song, I would go back and regenerate it because I would go back and tweak the lyric just slightly, and like, I don't like that word, I'm going to make this rhyme better, and then put it back in there. And I'm like, make it exactly like the last one. And it just won't do it. It makes a new song. I'm like, but I like the last one. I just want to change the word, like,
yeah, you can't do that.
And you can't do that. And so like you end up with, it took me, I think 50 or 60. I spent all my credits to make one song. It was crazy.
Those tools are getting better though. They have like in painting now where you can do some of that on some of the apps where you can take the melody or what it has or the music and you can rewrite the lyrics or rewrite a sentence in them. So those tools are coming. You can do some of that. But again, it takes interaction to do that. And it's the same thing for me when I do the song at the end of the show here. Like the lyrics aren't exactly the lyrics that it gives me. I change them every time. Usually around the chorus to make it more catchy, and I'll use the same words over and over again because the GPT lyrics won't tend to write lyrics like an actual song. It'll write like just rhyming lyrics. It's more like a poem than a song. So I make it into a song by changing the lyrics, definitely, and then having it, like you say, sometimes if you give it the word like AI and you run the two things together, it tries to pronounce it as a word. Not AI. It pronounces it wrong all the time.
Going back to it though, like to me, oh Jesus, what's frustrating for me is that people have to understand it will never create something new. So before Amy Winehouse existed, AI would not be able to generate, Amy Winehouse music. Same thing for any other like songwriter or creator. And the fact that it frustrates me is that I think there's definitely going to be a push where Spotify will have a majority of its music AI generated. And as a listener, you'll be like, it's good enough. I could vibe to it as I'm cleaning my house. And even though that's messed up, but for some people, good enough is good enough. But the problem I have is that it's like when someone creates music, it's not a bunch of prompts that go into them. It goes like the struggle of life that they've been through, like Amy Winehouse's case, everything she went through, like her soul is in her music. And to me, I feel like even though there's going to be a lot of this AI stuff, I think as human beings, we have to be like, you know what? I can't relate to AI because it's a machine. I want to relate to human people. And that's why we should even more so now support actual real life creators in the process of doing stuff.
I think they're always going to win, man. I think I think we're in this weird period where they're not seemingly they're going to get caught. But you're right that AI will never write the great breakup song. There's a lot of great ones over the time. Like when you're having that bad day in college, you're like, listen to the breakup song.
Yeah.
For me, it was "Hey Now It's Over." I still remember that song.
Dude, I remember I had it was a trifactor of terrible things happened in my life. And there was this album Radiohead that's just already depressive.
Yeah.
And it's just every time I hear songs from the album, I'm like, my God, brings me to tears because I have all these emotional baggage. It's not just the music, it's the fact of stuff that I went through. Same thing with Eminem's song called Stan, which it's a very crazy song, but they had a life experience that attached to it. And because it's relatable, because of what Eminem went through and I'm not saying I'm Eminem, but my life story and how our situations. Yeah, right. Exactly. If someone says I resonate to the song created by AI, it's like you're resonating to a data set that another human created. It's not AI, right? It's that's the thing. It's it'll never be relatable to you ever.
This week we saw shipping the new Copilot Plus PCs. So this was started today, I think, or yesterday. It was what are we today? The 18th? I think it was today, actually. They started shipping today. So they have shipped without one of their flagship features. That is the recall feature. Remember, we've talked about this on the show here before. This is the feature that screenshots everything you do on the laptop and uses an AI, you prompt an AI model to search those images. So it basically uses kind of like the way that this kind of works, I guess, is it takes all those images, it puts them into, apparently on the back end, it puts them into a SQLite database, and uses OCR, takes all that data, puts them in a SQLite database, also in plain text, which is
that's what SQLite
I think
is.
the reason why this isn't shipping. It is a security issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is a massive security issue. It's now a coming soon feature, and my guess is they're going to have some kind of security local on this to stop this just being hacked, because it's going to be hacked almost instantly.
I think people already showed some examples of like a bunch of hackers already found a bunch of issues already, and so I was going to make a joke. It's when they announced it, I think a bunch of people switched to Linux, and they saw the numbers dip, so they're like, "Oh no, we gotta check this out."
I don't think this feature sees the light of day.
Oh, you don't think it happens at all?
I think it will happen. Some people will be convenience over, 1984 possible case happening.
It doesn't really
to me,
solve a problem though that we can't solve already.
The only place I see it is maybe integrated into Microsoft Family Safety, and you use it on your child's device. Like, that's the only scenario that I see it like.
But how much you have to lock it down
as.
though to do that though? You have to really lock it down though, right? It can't be in its current form, because that's just opening your kid up to data issues, right?
Yeah, but I don't care about that.
I think if it
convenience over security, right?
Right. Like, I'd rather have insight into what they're doing than and get reporting. Like I said, like, it would need to be incorporated into Microsoft Family Safety, because I'm already getting like reporting on, browser history, and I can set time limits and things like that. So if I'm getting screenshots that are able to be like,
A lot of
aggregated. It's aggregated, searchable, where like it can notify me if it's got like questionable content, and I set the content like, okay, anything that's violence or sex or anything like that, like I want to be notified of that. That's like really the only place I can see this being successful.
Well, so we already have policies and things like that, even at the corporate level, that it can control what the PC can install and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what is this thing really going to do other than they put an AI buzzword on it?
This is like actually a good point though, like for what you just mentioned, because I remember working on a company, this was a long time ago, but they were using Windows 7 because it was an insurance company, and then like for them to be able to install newer Windows, they had to go through this whole security process to guarantee that the data is going to be secured to the company. Right. And so a feature like this, especially if it's not that something happens automatically, some companies will be like, well, we don't want our sensitive data to be like indexed by the software because the stuff or the type of stuff that we work on. But for me, it's like plain and simple from the standpoint. It's like, hey, if you're going to create a feature that's going to screenshot everything I do every second, I'm just going to be like, thanks for letting me know you're not a secure system for me to use. So I'm going to use Windows only for games, like anything work related or stuff like that, that I need to have like private, because you have like documents for your clients and your business that you like, I don't want this to get out. You're going to try to create a secure system. For instance, for my work computer, we have a service that basically does something like this. It's on my Mac, but it's mandated by my company so they could see like that that our system are protected from leaking customer data or sensitive data. And in that context makes sense. But in terms of like me having my family desktop computer, why do I need a service like that? Unless it's for a company to collect data. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, look, I could rewind back like, my history. Like, who cares? It's like Microsoft cares.
I don't need it for myself, but like as like an IT manager or something, like I could see it being helpful on like employee computers and things like that. But again, I don't need it reporting back to Microsoft. I just need to report it back to me.
The thing I think it's going to take up like 20 or 200 gigs of space, and you fill your laptop with all these snapshots on, and then it's in SQLite, which isn't a database. It's a misnomer.
Yeah, they have said this takes images every few seconds.
Yeah,
so you imagine it's got to get big soon.
Yeah,
so
I imagine it's some kind of rolling limit that it has. Right. So it's kind of like Time Machine on a Mac, which just takes like a snapshot of your system. It's like a picture of a screen or anything. It's like it's a backup system, right? So it's taking a backup of your ongoing, and it uses like a set space, and all it does is it rolls over, so the new saves roll over the old saves. So I'm guessing this has an infinite amount of like history it can even go back to, which means is it even useful?
It's not.
Here's the thing, though. This is the moment that I'm waiting for somebody to be in court and someone's like, you have built a nuclear dirty bomb. No, I didn't. And then they play your whole history of you starting to learn about nuclear like physics, blah, 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 how to build, like where to source the material. And literally like they just have that in court. And for me, like, yeah, like I'm sure nobody wants to be a criminal and whatever, but it's like we're playing like this game where like at some point we need to have some sort of security. So before like all of these technologies, you had like a wider like private area for you to be who you are. And now I feel like the only private space is my closet, because of all the stuff I have in my house. It's like even doing this podcast, like, the thing that I have in the back is like, what question were you asking? I wasn't quite clear. I'm like, shut up. I'm like doing my thing. It's like, they're always listening. They're always communicating with each other. But another thing that a lot of people have to understand, like, and I think like we won't be able to opt out of it, but all the newer devices, I forgot what the thing like chip has. It's not Bluetooth, but maybe it is Bluetooth, like whatever. But it basically allows any device to communicate to any other device. And so you could have, it's similar to what AirTags do. And so like they communicate with iPhones nearby. And the fact is like you can't even disable that feature, I don't think.
It's like a
and
mesh
so
network. They want to make a mesh
network.
Right.
And so all devices are now connected like a mesh network. What freaked me out, and like I'm okay with it now, but my Amazon thing that I have, even when it's not connected to Wi-Fi, it could still communicate with other local devices in the area because of the way the system's done. Like again, the mesh network. And so I think we're pushing this, system of convenience and data. And I'm sure they're collecting data. Maybe the data is anonymous, maybe whatever. But we are at a point where going backwards, like I think it'll be like impossible. And I think people just have to be okay with it because I don't know what else you're going to do. And people that are really, are paranoid. I forgot the guy's name. He's on like YouTube. He talks about de-Googling your phone and removing all this stuff so you could have like a fully private phone. And he talks about like other things. And to me, like obviously it's not worth it because like I don't care. But at the same time, it's like we didn't give permission for them to be able to have this much power to collect data. Like, I'm not.
So did you know the on button and the off button on a Samsung television in the off, if you enable voice, the computer, the TV turns off, but it's not off.
Yeah.
Still
and then
listening.
people can
Crazy.
connect to that television from the street.
Right.
And so it has a camera or whatever, a voice. It can record every conversation they're having. And you shouldn't have that in your house. Like that shouldn't be allowed to be made.
Yeah.
But it is made. And that's the problem with Samsung television.
This is where we are. Convenience over security. We're there.
And people don't realize that that's like really bad,
Yeah. I will say, so there's a couple of kind of related to this. There's a couple of Black Mirror episodes everyone should watch related to this. Definitely. There's a couple. There is one called Crocodile, which relates to this. And there's one called The Entire History of You. Both relate to recording information. They're done in a slightly more futuristic way. Right. But this is the path to that. Please go watch those episodes and you'll realize, oh yeah, that's a bad thing. If you know anything about Black Mirror, they never end well. And they definitely do not end well.
And if you want, and I hate to recommend other podcasts, but Darknet Diaries is another one that you can go read about real things. That are just like, and how, I don't know, the last week's was about Anom, which is an encrypted phone, end-to-end encrypted phone, but it had a backdoor in it because the founder of the phone company that made this encrypted phone was the FBI. And they sold the phone to criminals and they could read the messages and they thought they're
genius.
They think they're going encrypted to encrypted when they're not. It's just like bizarro land, and we think like, hey, I trust the government. I haven't doing anything wrong. Yeah. Okay. Until we're not. So like
pulling my boomer hat on. Remember the movie The Net?
Yeah.
Where
great movie.
There's everybody buys into this like security software that has this like backdoor built in so that they can get in and out of the banks, the government, like everything. Yep. And like, I mean, that was back in the 90s. So
and now it's recall.
And that's reality.
Laptop. Right.
Yeah. It's every Windows. I remember complaining about Windows 10 and all their features that did all the listening and stuff like that. And what's crazy, you could disable them, but they literally make your Windows inoperable. So it's like no point. And I like how they just keep going farther and farther. And this idea of like screenshotting your computer every second, like when you say it out loud, it sounds so stupid.
Who approved that in the meeting? You're going to do what?
Yeah,
like,
ridiculous.
How many screenshots would that be after 3 months?
I love like
make the
so
computer?
many,
Really
so
slow,
Dude.
many.
It's insane.
but it's got AI on it.
I'm sure we're all adults here, and there's a population of the world, including the politicians, who consume not safe for work stuff on their Windows 11 computer. That's hilarious to me.
But I'm just saying, for me, it's like the settings are in like, there's already a registry. You know, we already know we have to repair the registry. You know, wait till you have to repair your recall. You know, like, it's just,
Actually, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing the recall thing, in order to save space, I don't know technically how this works, but I'm guessing it maybe doesn't even save the screenshots, because what it does is take the screenshots, it uses some kind of OCR to put it into context, feeds that into an AI. So maybe there's something there for that. I don't know.
Well,
because
but again,
I'm
it's
not
a
sure
JSON file at the end of the day, like for SQLite. Yeah. So I would imagine they're converting it to text, which will save space eventually.
Right.
There's
still.
like already like a lot of like hackers who take Windows and they talk about like debloating Windows, so they remove some of this like features to make your Windows instance like less bloated. I wonder if some hackers would be like, well, they already have the system, like let me make a patch that makes all the images blurry that it records, like completely killing the whole thing. But like I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to try to kind of be like, this is not a good use of your time, and we don't want to share our data. So I wonder if they're going to create things to break it just for people that want to, because you can't.
The more likely thing is that they would insert an image into recall and then make recall put the setting they want on it. I think that's what it's doing. I think that's why someone reverted it and gave themselves admin privileges to a Windows laptop instantaneously by looking at a JSON file that's in clear text and saying, okay, let's run recall and just change the setting right there. You know, and like, boom, you own the PC at that point. And you could do that with a rootkit or anything like that. I mean, this is a terrible idea. I don't think it'll ever see the light of day.
As soon as you get access to that PC, you have access to all that data. So all of your banking information, because it's taken those screenshots, everything you've ever done on the machine is there, including all your security stuff. So everything's there in that plain text file. It's really silly.
I'm going to create a script that's going to spin up, like I'm going to use like one of those things that you're able to spin up like an instance of your OS. I forgot what they're called. Like
virtual machine?
Yeah, virtual machine. Exactly. I'm going to create a thing which has a snapshot of all the apps that I use. And then it would just, every time I need to boot up, it'll just boot up the new instance of that virtual environment. I can do whatever the hell I want. And then when I shut it off, it'll just going to boom, erase everything. And then that's it. And that's like how, like, it's
called Parallels on Mac. That's what you need.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So let me ask you this final question then before we move on. Yep. Anybody going to be buying one of these new PCs?
No.
Never.
I got Linux installed just because I freaked out too early. Like, so I'm literally using my Windows PC for games and video editing because like I have like the better GPU there. Because even on my MacBook Pro 2, it's not that bad, but it does help when you're working with like 4K footage. And so I just use it for gaming and video editing. Anything else that I need, I have my Mac, and then I have Linux.
I am exclusively PC. You know, I love my Lenovo's and stuff, but I'm only not buying anything because I like recently, maybe like less than a year ago, bought a new laptop. So
okay, but would you buy one of these?
Not for that feature. Like if it was time for me to buy a new laptop and it happened to have it, like, and it's the Lenovo, it's the ThinkPad, it's the X1.
They're all buying into it,
Like, I'm sure it's going to be included, but I would not buy something just for that feature.
I think they're not going to roll it out. I think it's already been hacked. Someone had and they showed them, and they're like, well, we can't fix that. Let's just.
You think they're incapable of securing it then?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I feel like they're going to create a service under the hood that does the same thing, but they're not going to tell anybody.
And send it to Azure, and then just
exactly.
Well, that would be if it went to Azure, that would be a real problem because this right now stays all on device.
They say right.
Well, like I said, if it's part of Microsoft Family Safety, like I can buy into that. Like I would like buy my kid a laptop that had it because of that feature.
Yeah, but if you can just insert something in a recall file and then run recall to give yourself admin privileges is crazy. Your PC
sure, if my kid's smart enough to do that.
No, I'm talking about someone else is way smart enough to do
right.
It's like,
they're not doing anything, on their computer that I'd be concerned about.
But I was going to say, if you go on YouTube and you type, I forgot my password, but I don't have any of the original stuff, how do I log back into my computer? There's plenty of videos with hacks that you could do. And I actually tried one hack, which was like surprised that it worked. I was like, Jesus, there goes all my security for my Windows. Granted, that was Windows 10, so I'm hoping that Windows 11 doesn't have that vulnerability, but there's always...
I'm
sure it does
too.
Did
you have an 8-character password or a 15-character password?
So I don't remember what my password was, but here's the way I fooled it. Basically, when you log in your computer, it asks you for your password, but they have a little accessibility button, like if you're hearing impaired.
Right.
So what I did is I did this hack, which basically, like, you still have to log into Windows in the terminal, but you don't have to log in into actual Windows. And you rename a bunch of files. And so you rename that accessibility button. Instead of open the accessibility tools, it'll open password change window. And so without logging in, you click that button and it just says, please provide a new password. You just put in your new password and boom. And so I actually left that hack open because I'm known to forget my password, like for my computer. But the fact that it was that easy blew my mind. Like, I'm not a hacker, and like I just followed the YouTube video, and I'm hoping Windows 11 doesn't have that.
That means someone else can follow
hilarious.
a YouTube video that is a hacker. I mean, like, it's just...
There's always going to be
a vulnerability. But don't make it easier.
Well,
just to make it harder.
Yeah.
Right.
I just still we're talking about all these good points, but I still can't get past, it's going to take a screenshot of your computer every second. Like, do you understand what that means?
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Do you understand?
Bobby's like, yes, yes,
it
I
doesn't turn off when you decide to you Google not safe, but it takes everything. And where does it go?
Yeah.
I like the also part. It's local. That's like what they always say as a stepping stone. But some of the things we do have to offload to Azure because, it takes computational. It's like, and what happens then? Well, we send part of your data, it's like,
or, you run backups, and you back it up to your, whatever, your OneDrive, which is on Azure. And then suddenly they're looking at those backup files.
Okay, so time of the show to talk about our recommendations then, our knows and our not knows. I'm going to go down the list here. You're up first, Sarah. What you got?
So I don't know if you know this about me. I love trials, but I also love the Olympics. I am obsessed with the Olympics. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the Olympic trials are going on. And sometimes, because I just love the stories and everything, seeing people's Olympic dreams come true. And so the trials sometimes are even more fun to watch because they made it to the Olympics, and that is just so amazing to see. So right now is the swimming trials.
I just saw that. I saw somebody broke a world record in the 100-meter butterfly. Or
wow,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a girl. And the track and field trials are happening this weekend, and then next weekend is the gymnastics trials. So go
is this all
check
on NBC,
out.
by the way? Is this all
and Peacock, and Peacock. Okay. So, cool. So go check out the Olympic trials because, like I said, I cry all the time. I'm just oh my gosh, they wanted to go to the Olympics so bad, and they made their dream come true. It's so great. So anyway, I love watching the trials and the Olympics. So.
Is Bob Costa still doing it, or I haven't watched it?
Bob Costa, maybe actual Olympics, but
they probably
I
can't get him for the trials. They're probably right. He's a little busy.
Yeah. But the event announcers are usually so Rowdy Gaines is doing it for the swimming, and he's always the one doing it for the swimming in the Olympics. And gymnastics. They always have the same Tim Daggett. He always says, the first rule of gymnastics, fly high and stick the landing. He literally will say that every single meet. So, it's all the same announcers. So I love it.
All right.
Cool. Okay, what you got, Bobby?
I got nothing today, man.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm out.
Not a big week.
Yeah, not a big week for me.
That's fine. Paul, what you got?
I recently got new lights, so they're Elgato Air lights, and they're the most amazing lights I had. Yeah. They're not cheap.
No, they're good.
They're not cheap.
But
I have one up here.
Money worth spent for sure, because I love the fact that you could easily control the brightness and the temperature, and it just makes it more easier. Before I had one light from the front, now I just have two lights from the side, and really, really nice, really, really great.
Okay, I've got a null and a not null this week. So my null I think I've talked about it here before. But I drink tea a bunch. I drink coffee too, but I have a nice coffee machine. But I drink tea as well. So I drink more tea than I do coffee. So in order to make tea, you need a kettle to make tea, right? So you got to have an electric kettle. Having a stove kettle is like archaic. It's like dark age
boomers
stuff. Boomer stuff.
Yeah.
So you need to have an electric kettle. So I bought the best electric kettle you can buy. Okay.
Wow.
This thing. I've had it for 15 months and it's died.
Oh no.
Oh.
The temperature sensor in it has died. It overboils now. So for $195, like, come on, that it's got to do the basics. It has to do the basics. It has to boil water to a temperature, and it doesn't do it anymore. So this is my Null for the week. I would not be buying another one of these.
What's your replacement?
The fact that it's,
I mean, you got to have a replacement.
Right.
I've ordered one for tomorrow. Maybe that'll be my not Null for next week.
All right.
I'm not going to spoil it. But I have ordered a different kind.
Nice.
But my not know for this week is a new TV show, Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus.
I've watched episode 1.
Okay, it gets better.
Okay,
too.
good.
Like keep watching it. It's good.
Bobby's like good because it's
yeah. Keep watching. That's what I was gonna say. Keep watching past the first episode. It gets better. It's a kind of like it's like a dark sci-fi thriller, I guess you could call it.
It's well acted.
It is very well acted.
No doubt about that. I just didn't get past episode 1, but like.
Yep. Yeah, it becomes way more interesting when you understand like what's going on.
Yeah.
Like definitely when you understand like the kind of the sciencey part behind it and like it's good. Definitely recommend it. Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus. You can watch the first episode for free, by the way, even if you don't have Apple TV Plus. So
nice, we'll check it out.
You can go check that out. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Not Know Podcast. If I can ask you to do a couple of things, if you could let a friend know about the podcast, and if you could leave us a review or rating wherever you listen to this podcast. You can also drop us an email. Where can they drop the email to, Sarah?
The Not Null Podcast at AOL.com.
That's it. And we will see everybody next week.
Steve makes a stand. Not a man, just a program with ideas so grand. 4-day work week, electric cars to ride, representing the people with code as his guide. AI for office, when it rise or fall. AI for office, it's the people's call. Human or machine, will take the lead. AI for office, is it what we need? His policy stream, Belarusian yachts, a protesting code can't be silenced. His message is bold. Legal battles and biases to fight. A new kind of leader in the spotlight. Hypothetical futures, reality will trick. Will AI's vision truly stick? AI for office. Unfolding, a new path to trace. In the hands of the people lies the